The ERi-TV news broadcast and I, Delit Sahaya, are now ready for your daily news briefing at 10:30 local time. But first, let us catch up with the major headlines. Minister Osman Saleh addresses conference in the unilateral sanctions. Eritrea participates at Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States Summit. Trump slumps NATO over Iran after meeting rout in renew Greenland threat. And Russia's ability state run risk if the Ukrainian drone crosses their space to attack Russia. Proceeding with our reports. Mr. Osman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs, addressed the conference on the humanitarian action, remedy and responsibility in the unilateral sanctions environment, which convened in Geneva, Switzerland on 9th and 10th April. Expressing appreciation for the organizers of the timely and consequential conference, Minister Osman said that the international order, increasingly characterized by normalization, expansion and gradual institutions of unilateral forcible measures. He noted that this evolution has largely unfolded outside the framework of multilateral legitimacy and tension with the foundational principles of international law, sovereign equality, non-interference, and Charter of the United Nations. Noting that Eritrea's counter with sanctions regime spans nearly 2 decades, Minister Usman said that imposition of the United Nations Security Council sanction from 2009 to 2018, grounded in substantial claims and geopolitical expediency, marking a period of significant constraint on the country's development trajectory. Although these measures are eventually lifted, their residual effects persist, underlining that accumulative impact on these measures have produced what can be described as systematic exclusion of Eritrean form of the world order. Minister Usman said that Eritrea faces persistent barriers in conducting routine financial transactions, essential for trade and development. Noting that these measures are often justified as tools to promote and protect human rights, Minister Usman said that in practice, they undermine the very right they purport to advance. Reiterating that unilateral forcible measures are often portrayed as targeted and temporary, Minister Usman said that in reality their effects are expansive, discriminate, and enduring. He added that the shape of economy constraint development and affect daily lives of ordinary people to profound ways. Concluding his remark, Minister Usman underlined that if international community is remain faithful to its commitment to human rights, it must confront these contradictions with clarity and resolve. An Eritrean delegation participated on the 11th Summit of Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific State Heads of State and Government, which was convened from 27th to 29th March in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. The summit, which was conducted under the theme A Transformed and Renewed Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific State in a Changing World, Eritrea was presented by Mr. Mikhail Tesfaye, First Secretary to the Eritrean Embassy in Brussels, and Mr. Brahane Rezene, Second Secretary. The participants at the summit conducted discussion focusing on modernizing and strengthening the organization and financial management, supporting member states as well as regional integration and enhancing global partnership. The Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific State, which was founded in 1975, has 79 members countries. Mr. Bayana Rasom, Eritrea's ambassador to Kenya, conducted a public seminar for nationals residing in Nairobi and its environs on 4th April. At the seminar, Ambassador Bayana gave an extensive briefing on the objective situation in the homeland, as well as regional and global developments. He also called on nationals to consolidate their unity and organization with a view to emerge victorious against challenges they may encounter, urging nationals to fulfill their nation obligation through organization and themselves and community and national associations, Ambassador Baena called for proper understanding of their rights and obligations for making advantage of the opportunities in their country. Mr. Daud Hagos, chairman of the Eritrean community in Kenya, said that strengthening and developing Eritrean community and participation in the national affairs is timely responsibility of nationals. The participants on their part expressed conviction to strengthen the Eritrean community in Kenya and called for organized of similar seminars. Straight ahead is our international news after the short break. Welcome back. United States President Donald Trump has lashed out on NATO over its reliance to join Washington war on Iran and appeared to revive threats over Greenland following a meeting with the Alliance Secretary General. Writing on his Truth Social platform on Wednesday, Trump said in a capitalized letter, NATO wasn't there when we needed them and they won't be there if we need them again. The remark comes after 2 hours meeting with NATO Mark Rutte and United House and a day after the US and Iran agreed to cease fire. The rhetoric has raised seats in the West Trump that could move to withdraw the US from transatlantic alliance, which he has repeatedly called paper tiger. Several NATO members refused to open their airspace to the US military aircraft or send naval forces to help reopen Strait of Hormuz and vital energy route that Iran has effectively closed. Trump, following his meeting with Rutte, also appeared to revive his threat to seize Greenland from NATO member Denmark, a move has roiled in the alliance before he launched his war on Iran. Russian Foreign Minister spokesperson Maria Zakharova said on Wednesday that the ballistic state would understand the risk involving if they allow Ukrainian drone to cross their airspace to attack targets in Russia. Without any doubt, we view the recent drone incidents as terrorist attack against the Russian Federation, attack on Russia and Russian industrial and civilian facilities, said Zakharova. She did not elaborate on what from any Russian response might take. China became India's largest trading partner in 2025-2026 financial year, overtaking the U.S. Beijing Embassy in New Delhi, and said in a bilateral trade between India and China reached $137 billion in a period between April 2025 and February 2026. Beijing's ambassador in New Delhi said in a post. India's bilateral trade with the U.S. stood at $127.8 billion in the same period. Washington, as New Delhi's largest trade partner for 4 years in a row until 2024-2025. In February, Queen Jay, China's Consul General in Mumbai, said bilateral trade between nations would not be affected by external factors. The U.S. imposed 50% tariff on India in August 2025. Half of them are punitive measures for New Delhi's purchase of Russian oil. In February, India and the U.S. announced an interim deal effective bringing down tariffs to 18%. India signed a trade pact with the European Union earlier this year after entering into a similar agreement with the UK, Oman, and New Zealand in 2025. Now let's report. The U.S. has authorized non-emergency staff and their families to leave its embassy in Nigeria following what we call a deteriorating security situation across the country. The U.S. State Department travel advice on Wednesday also asked American citizens to reconsider travel to the country, citing risks such as terrorism, civil unrest, and kidnapping. Specific Nigerian states with an increased risk have been placed under the most severe warning that advises against all travel in affected areas, it added. The adversary comes aimed a fresh surge in a deadly attack across the part of the country, that despite an expanded security partnership between the two nations. According to the U.S. State Department, Washington has been working with Abuja on counterterrorism, maritime security, intelligence sharing, and military training. Recent cooperation has included surveillance and inspection support and the use of U.S.-supplied aircraft and helicopters by Nigerian forces against Islamic insurgents and armed group. The decision into scale back embassy staffing underscored the gap between strategic military cooperation and reality of daily insecurity faced by civilians in many parts of the country. Dear viewers, we've come to the end of tonight's news. Let's have a quick recap of the headlines. Minister Osman Saleh addressed conference in the unilateral sanctions. Eritrea participates at Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific State Summit. Trump slumps to over after meeting Eritrea renews Greenland threats. And Russia says Baltic states run risk if the Ukraine drones cross the airspace to attack Russia. And that was the news from ERi-TV Studios. This has been the Let's Hire reporting. Thanks for watching and have a good night.